Hello, and welcome to my podcast, The Melancholy Guy Talks. And right now, I'm talking about recovery, living with addiction. This is a podcast about my life, The Melancholy Guy, daring to be black, open, and free. I'm sharing my journey through life while being an open, polyamorous African American male living in recovery. I am The Melancholy Guy, Calvin, or CPJR if you know me. And today, I definitely believe that change I must or die I will. You can find me all over social media by searching for The Melancholy Guy, but I mostly hang out on Instagram. Click the link in the bio for more info and content from me. I have a Patreon, and you can help out with $1 or $5 a month, and you'll get easy access to all my old pods about ethical non-monogamy, the fun stuff that started it all. Links will be in the show notes. So let's talk. Today is March 5th, 2020, and it's been 47 days since I've felt the need to pick up my drug of choice. Today's episode is my first 90 days, part 4, episode 48. And welcome back once again to my space on the internet where I get to talk about, where I am talking about what it is to be in recovery from drug addiction, to not live in active addiction, but to actually live in recovery. And I've been talking about basically recovery, and I've been talking about your first 90 days. So basically, I found on addiction.com that recovery is broken up into 3 parts, right? I say it's broken up into the first 90 days, early recovery, and then it's maintaining recovery. And I've been talking about the first 90 days, and there are supposedly 14 steps. I've talked about those steps, and I've basically talked about how it's about accepting where you are, and then coming up with a plan, and then living that plan. And that was steps 1 through 7, and right now we're going to be on step 8. And step 8, 9, and 10 is what I'm going to talk about tonight or today on the podcast. Step 8 is going to be pay attention to your diet, sleep, and physical activity. Getting back to a feeling in tip-top shape and maintaining your sobriety entails more than just streamlining your schedule, of course. Part of your new structured environment and early recovery involves taking care of your nutritional needs and getting adequate rest and exercise. And this is probably an easy, straightforward one. Basically, if anybody knows a drunk or a drug addict or anything like that in their life, they know that eating is not a priority. It definitely wasn't a priority for me. I think over the last time, 50 months ago, I was like almost 20 pounds left. I think I was the lightest I've been in years. I was down to like 169 in weight. I gained all the way back because I've been eating regularly now. Probably too much and a little too much sugar, so I'm definitely gonna cut that out. And for me, like, eating is important to me, and cooking is important to me, and it's something that I normally just always do. I've tried pescatarian diets, a little vegetarian. My goal is to be as vegetarian as much as possible. But I'm also thinking about the keto diet. Well, we'll see as time goes on. But in these early days, like I'm saying, days like 47, it's just important that I just eat regularly. And it's all important that you just get on a routine of eating regularly. And for me, it's also getting in the routine of cooking, sharing meals with family and loved ones. It's just something that always gives me a feeling of stability and a feeling of like belonging to like life again, the world again. It's just something that I really like to do. Just prepare food and shop for food and go out to eat and all that kind of stuff. So it's also about exercising on a regular basis too. Like just today, this week, I actually got out and started walking again. I'm a big hiker and walker. Like if you see me on social media, you'll see I have a lot of pictures of me just out walking and videos. Just being out in the woods is something that I normally just like to do, and it's something that I just when I'm And active addiction is just something that I don't do. There's no time for it, and it affects me a lot, just not being able to get out and do that walking. So, with me going back to work in a few days, I definitely want to be in tip-top shape for that. So I just got out and walked 2 days this week, and I'm gonna just start doing that every day. Just getting back outside and getting in shape. And it's funny, I'm just realizing that spring is right around the corner. I Time just flew by. I'm really like, whew, Lord, this summer was crazy. I'm glad to just be alive. It's like you don't really, I was thinking about something today, and I'm gonna go back and pick this up probably a minute or two. How we call like addiction, if you know anything about it in the community, we all call it like a disease, and it's like you lose track of time. If you fall into active addiction or alcoholism or whatever it is, and it hits you really hard, you lose tracks of time, because you're not really paying attention, especially if you aren't working or just out in the street. This was the first time I've just ever been out of it, to that extent, and I just lost track of time. It's just like summer went by, fall went by, winter went by, and I'm like, damn, it's spring, right? And it just hit me. It feels like I actually was like sick or something. Like I'm just waking up out of like a coma or something like that. And I'm just grateful to be. I'm just grateful to be like awake and aware, even though it's like really hard going through this time, and having to sit here 2 days a week talking about it. It's really making me aware of what it is to be in recovery. Like, even though I'm not going to like meetings every week, just sitting here just gives me that whole feeling of just making it a part of my life. And that's basically what you have to do, or what we as addicts have to do in order to stay on the, I guess, straight and narrow, or just keeping recovery a part of our lives. It's just actually doing it every day. And for me, this is a part of doing it every day, because I didn't even realize it was spring. Even though it's been like 47 days since I've last used anything, it's like I just didn't even realize that it hasn't, that the time has just kept going. And when I was talking to Kimberly this weekend, it's like I felt like I was I told her, like, we spent time talking over the weekend, and I was telling her that the feeling that I felt is like I got hit by a train, and the train didn't run me over. I was just in the front of the train, and the train was just going through a dark tunnel, and I couldn't get off. And it's just like all of a sudden, like 40 something days, 50 days ago, the train just stopped, and I fell off. And I fell off the front, and I'm just laying there in front of it, and it's like I gotta pick myself back up. And that's what I feel like I'm doing now. Like I'm picking myself back up. And it's like a lot of emotions. Anyway, I'm gonna go back to number 9. Number 9 is learn your trigger, and this is important. This is a big one. I might stop right there today. Number 9 is like learn your triggers and practice healthy coping skills. It goes without saying that you need to avoid triggers that can push you toward relapse. Relapse is a thing I'm really scared of. I've talked about it before. It's like I was thinking about, like, what if I come on here and I say like how many days I've been clean, or how many days has it been since I picked up? What happens if I pick up? One thing I like, am I gonna say it? This show is gonna be over. I'm not gonna be doing a podcast anymore, or what's gonna happen? It's just a fear. But I think that I already know that relapse happens long before you do actually pick up. Like if I miss a show or miss a week, or something changes in my life, where the priorities change, then it just won't be here, and it'll just be over. So I think about that on a regular basis. And with that, especially in these first 90 days, I'm building like the foundation of my recovery, or the foundation of, I guess, my new life, the change. And thinking about triggers, it's like I already know my biggest trigger. My biggest trigger is money. My biggest trigger is payday. And that's something that, and I say that with ease, right? I've said that 30 years, whatever, how many years it's been, right? 20 years, I've been saying that. I already know that payday hits, boom, I'm triggered, and that's it. Triggered, cravings, I'm gone. That's how it is. And it's like the one thing that's kept me from, battling that or tackling that one big ass trigger. It's like ego. It's like my ego, and I said it. I've been saying it like for the last couple weeks when I brought up Russell Brand's book. The cycles of addiction, the 5-point guide to the cycle of addiction. You go from pain to pain, and I'm like, okay, now I'm figuring out what that ego is all about, right? Like if I felt that my first initial issue was feeling like not seen or being undervalued, and like even talking about this is making me emotional, right? Maybe low self-esteem, stuff like that. And it's like the one thing that I always like prided myself on is being able to go get money. You know what I'm saying? To get job, get money. Being able to keep maintain a pretty decent job with a pretty decent salary. It's like, but then have to give up control of that shit. You know what I mean? Like that's been it, right? Ego is like not being able to go out and hang out and just like like I have the money, but I can't carry it on me. Or I have the money on payday. We can all go out and have a blast. But I don't have the money. My girlfriend and my wife has the money. She has to do it, and that's been holding me back. It's nothing but ego that's been like, just causing me to actually just like surrender to reality, and then deal with what's going on behind that. Why that's an issue, because that really shouldn't be an issue. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's been like holding me down for so long, and it's like it's like even now, like going back to work and then having to deal with what I'm gonna do with their money and all that kind of stuff. I already got plans on what's gonna happen. I already know, but then I already know that I have to accept it. Period. Because even like people around me. Well, sometimes even I would tell people around me in my life that that's an issue, that's a trigger for me, blah blah blah, and they'd be like, "Oh, my nigga, what's up? You supposed to be the handy man, you the man, all this other kind of stuff." And I would be like, "Yeah, you're right. I can't. I'm supposed to be." You know what I'm saying? But I don't know. But I'm like, I'm dealing with what you think about me, not what I think about me. You know what I'm saying? And maybe what and you know what happens, and it's like a lot. You know what I'm saying? So, for me, that's gonna be my biggest. Or it's not gonna be my biggest issue. I already know. I've surrendered. It's not gonna be my biggest issue. It's gonna be something else, really, because I already know that that's ego, and that's one thing I've already dealt with. So I'm gonna leave it right there. It's important to deal with the triggers. I mean, that's just basically where I've always fell down within this first 90 days, and sometimes I'll get it, and I'll have it under control for like a long time, and all of a sudden I'll just think I got it. Give it to me, and I have not done the work in order to get past what's really going on, what's really behind that ego and that pain that caused you to not actually give in. So that's it right there for this episode. Thanks for listening, and I always want to take a moment for the still suffering addict. Just like me, you don't have to use like one day at a time, so if you're going through it, just holler at somebody, talk to somebody, contact me, or contact anybody that can point you in the right direction. Go to the rooms, and get some help, because you don't have to use, like I said, one day at a time. And with that, I'm going to wrap it up. Always remember to love and respect yourself first, and everything else will take care of itself. Peace and namaste.